What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Rising Above Adversity A.F.C. Bournemouth. As I said in the previous episode where we won the FA Cup, I said I would bring one more episode just to kind of wrap up this season, talk about, how we done this year, how we're going to improve for next year, and also look at, some of the key players from this season and the awards in the Premier League. But we're going to start off by talking about the league. As you know, we finished in 4th place after winning the title last year. It was a real step back, of course, to finish 4th in the league. We were just really inconsistent throughout the year. I'll show you some of the periods where we were just not good enough. When you want to win the title, when you're challenging for the title, you can't have these periods where you're going 3 or 4 games without winning. And we had a couple of those. This period here really killed us in November when we drew 4 games in a row on November, early December, against the sides that we drew against as well: Stoke, Wolves, Norwich and Swansea. That was a terrible period for us. This period here where we lost 3 games in a row in the league, and then here where we lost against Norwich at home and then Swansea away back to back, it just wasn't good enough. And after last season, the expectations were quite high, well, from my point of view anyway. The expectations from the board weren't that high. We were only expected to qualify for the Europa League, but this season I really wanted us to retain the title, and we had the quality to do that, no doubt about that. We strengthened from last year, I felt like, so there was no reason why we couldn't go and win the title again, but we just weren't good enough. Arsenal were brilliant this year, as I said in the last episode, to only lose 3 games in the league after finishing 8th last year, was it? Fantastic season for them. But in the Champions League, it was very positive. Getting to the first knockout round, that was where we was expected to get to. And in all honesty, we were quite unfortunate not to actually go through against Bayern, I don't think. We should have won in the first leg. We ended up drawing that 1-0. And we were a bit unlucky in the second leg as well. Couple of individual errors costing us. And hopefully we can do better in it next year. Of course, we're going to have to go through a playoff to actually get to the group stages. But, we should do that. And in the FA Cup, of course, we were the winners, beating Man City in the final. Fantastic achievement. For the first time I've won the FA Cup in this series, so I was very pleased with that. The Capital One Cup, of course, there's a competition we've had quite a lot of success in, but it's never regarded as really an important trophy. So to go out in the 4th round, Arsenal ended up winning it. So I wasn't that disappointed to go out, to the eventual winners, of course. And in the Charity Shield, not very important, is it? Man City ended up winning that. So we'll look at the awards in the Premier League. And we can look here, actually. Joaquin Correa finishing as the highest average rating player in the division. He also got the most assists with 17 goals. We're going to look at him a little bit more in detail when we look at some of our key players. And he also got the most man of the match awards this season. Very, very good season for Joaquin Correa. As he has been every season, such a fantastic player. But let's look at the awards. We'll start off with the Golden Glove. That went to Wojciech Szczesny, finishing first. Courtois in second, and John Ruddy in third there. And then we'll move on now to the Golden Boot. Who won that? So Jordan Rhodes finished up as the top scorer in the league with 17 goals. Quite a low tally, really. If you compare that to other years, you got Berardi the year before, scored 31 goals. The year before that, Aguero with 28. The year before that, of course, Hervin Ongenda for us with 33 goals. And the season before that, Balotelli with 34. So only 17 goals was enough for the top for the Golden Boot this year. Jordan Rhodes got that. Berardi in second with 15. And Hervin Ongenda in third place with also getting 15 goals. A good season on his return on loan for us this year. Manager of the year went to Cole Robinson, as you would expect. Really good season as expected for Arsenal, so he gets the award. Of course, the real life MK Dons manager. What else can we look at? FWA Footballer of the Year went to Joaquin Correa. As I said, brilliant season for him. Delighted that he was able to pick up that award. Of course, Hervin Ongenda won it for us a few years ago when he had that fantastic season. But Joaquin Correa getting all the plaudits he deserves with that award. Fantastic season. Player of the Year, PFA Player of the Year went to Douglas Costa of Liverpool. Team of the Year, do we have any players in that? Kieran Trippier. Most of them performances, or most of them games would have been when he was at Arsenal, of course. But we had him on loan for the last 6 months of the season. And Joaquin Correa featuring in there, as you would have expected. And Young Player of the Year went to Bertrand Traore of Aston Villa. Joaquin Correa actually won that award the year before. So that's the awards. We'll look at some of our key performers from this year now. We're sorted by average rate, and we're going to start off with Joaquin Correa. I actually forgot to mention that he picked up an injury towards the end of the season. You may have noticed he wasn't playing in the FA Cup finals. That's because he's got a broken ankle and he's out for a few months. Of course, we didn't need him in the final, but what a season! What a magnificent season! He has got to be my buy of the series. Honestly, we bought him for £5 million, and just look at season on season how good he's been. Less goals this year, but you can see he got more assists in the league. A wonderful, wonderful season for Joaquin Correa. And he's valued at £25.5 million. Honestly, I'm never going to sell him. He's such a fantastic player, and he's only 25 years old, so he's just starting to head into his prime now. Yeah, just an amazing player. Hervin Ongenda, fantastic season. As I said, on his return to the club, 24 goals in 41 appearances in all competitions with an average rating of 7.35. 15 goals in the league in 28 appearances. Wonderful season. We've got a future fee agreed on him. I've mentioned it of 14.5 million. It's unlikely we're going to sign him permanently. He's going to be asking for a lot of money. He's on a big wage at City, so I can't see this happening. It's been great to have him back for this season, but I think we're going to let him go to City unless they're letting him go on the cheap. Like this guy Alan Halilovic, who had a wonderful season. I can't believe City let him go for 6.25 million. He was amazing. 13 goals in 49 appearances in all competitions with an average rating of 7.31. 23 years old now, valued at 17 million. Just a brilliant player. So pleasing to watch. The way he dribbles with the ball, he's just a fantastic player, and I can't wait to see him develop more in the future. I'll just mention a couple more players. We've got Benjamin Nunes, another good season, not as good as last year. You can see his numbers in the year. Last year, he scored more goals and got more assists in 9 less games in the league. So, it wasn't as good a season for him, but he still made a contribution. Hopefully, he can get back to those numbers of his first season next year. But he's a very, very talented player. Technically, just amazing. And, hopefully he can progress a little bit more next season. Who else can we look at? Marcelo. Now, Marcelo really struggled in the first kind of half of the season. Played a lot better when we actually played him out wide on the left. So maybe that's a position that we're going to play him in, moving forward. Scored 13 goals in 41 appearances, only 5 goals in the league. But as I said, in the second half of the season, we played him a lot out wide. So that would explain that. Emmanuel Mamana, again, very solid. Defensively, we weren't as good as last year, but Mamana was very solid. Of course, didn't perform as well as last year, but, an excellent player, rated at 4.5 stars by my assistant. And one more player we'll mention, Andreas Cubas, very, very important player in our team. Didn't play as much games as last season because he picked up an injury like halfway through the season that kept him out for a little while, but still a very important player. And one last player I'll mention, Lee Song-yong. Again, defensively, we weren't as good this year as we was last year, but with him and Mamana at centre-back, we're sorted at centre-back for a very, very long time. 21 years old, of course. You remember we picked him up for 1.3 million. He's got to be up there for one of the buys of the series too, because, to get him in for so cheap, and, he's such a quality defender. And at the age of 21, there's still room for improvement with him. But that is it for the kind of squad. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Well, I am sure what I'm going to do, actually. I'm just not going to reveal it just now because we've done a lot of business already. I've been planning for next season for a long time, since about March, April time, picking players that I want for next season. I'm not going to reveal any of them just yet. We've already got about 3 players, I think it's 3 players agreed to join already. So, that's something to look forward to. But one last thing I'm going to look at is the finances. We are in incredible financial shape at the moment. 91 million in the bank. I've got my budget for next season. I've got 50 million to spend. So, we've got a lot of money and there's a lot of room for some big money moves. I'm not going to say anything. Maybe we may make some big money moves. We may not. But if we do want to spend big, the money is there. But yeah, that will round it up for this episode. I just wanted to give you guys a quick, little episode just to finish up the season. Disappointing really in the league, but that FA Cup win kind of made up for it just a little bit. But next season we need to be a lot better in the league. Hopefully we can be up there challenging again to finish 18 points off the top after winning the league the previous year. Just not good enough, but I'm sure we'll bounce back next season. Anyway, that will conclude today's episode. Of course, there will be a style video going up later on today, so make sure you check that out. But once again, thank you for watching, and thank you always for your ongoing support. I'll see you guys in a bit.